Welcome back to another message crawler update. In the previous video, we looked at processing profiles, that is to get data into message crawler. Well, now let's look at the export profiles as to how to get the data out of it. So let's go to my screen and we'll take a look at it. All right, before we look at processing profiles, so we're going to close that and we'll go to profile export conversations. Now we're going to do documents separately, but the difference between conversations and documents is when you export by conversation, you take messages and you group them together into sort of a master document, which is RSMF, PDF, or something like that. And the documents is when you just take data from the grid as is without combining or anything like that and exporting it out. So today we're looking at the conversations export. Okay, so I only have one profile, so I'm going to open that up and let's go through some of the settings. So one thing we can decide here is what files, how to combine them, what to export. And we can export RSMF, PDFs, EML, or HTML, as well as searchable text. In the previous version, you had separate tools for different import types. Here you have one, and you can just say RSMF and PDF. That's what I want, and then you send it to a client, and then if they use relativity, they'll use RSMF. If they don't, they'll just use PDF, so that's up to them. We have a few other options here is maximum number of messages per slice. So if the, kind of self-explanatory, right? You can set it to 100, so once the number of messages hits 100, we're going to start a new file. The other option here is slice conversation by date. So this is different than how version 6 used to work. Version 6, you would specify a field, right? And the reason why I kind of explained in the first video is I imagine people having different conversation fields, right? And then they'll use them to figure out which one to use for slicing. Here we only have one field, which is a conversation, which is a complete conversation. And then from there, we're going to say, okay, give me daily, weekly, or monthly slices. How do you want it? And we can just pick one of those, and it'll just follow the main conversation and just split it up. That's it, as simple as that. So simplifying things a lot. The other thing we can do is slice messages in different time zone. A lot of people ask me for it. But this is very kind of maybe questionable feature. So what happens is if you have data in UTC, you slice it by day, and then you process in Eastern time zone. Well, your dates are going to shift, and now your day breaks are going to kind of shift a little bit, right? So you're not going to go from midnight to midnight. You're going to go from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. or something like that. Well, what we can do is we can change the time zone when we are doing those breaks. So when the client processes that data, everything will sort of shift in place and your conversations will start from midnight to midnight. Now that's really cool if you know for sure what time zone the person is going to be processing data in. If they say, oh, well, no, I don't want to do it in Eastern, I want to do it in Pacific, right? And so they process in Pacific. Now everything's going to shift like way more, and it's going to be really weird. It may be okay, but just expect that if you don't process data in time zone you selected here, you're going to get some really funky shifts. It's still going to be 24 hours, but it's just not going to be from midnight to midnight. Then we have a max gigabyte per size, works a megabyte per size, and then works the same way as max messages per slice. On the right here, we have use standard sort for export. So just leave that checked. I know one of the issues in version 6, you have to sort everything because it just works from a grid and just goes top down. This version doesn't do that. It'll sort it for you using sort data and all that stuff. So just leave it checked unless you like doing some really advanced stuff. The next thing people asked me about cross-reference file and writing extra fields to header and body is they wanted to write different fields in the cross-reference from the header, from the body. And this is what this version does, is we can check different fields to write to cross-reference versus to header and versus to body, right? We can just pick whatever fields we want, and different set of fields will go into different place. Again, kind of self-explanatory, but some people really wanted that, and well, there you go. Going down to the RSMF options, we're going to default to version 2 because all current versions of Relativity support version 2. Server's been upgraded in October, I believe, that supports version 2. So that's going to be the standard going forward. Everything else is kind of standard. One thing I'm doing different is RSMF attachment handling. There used to be an option to leave attachments inside RSMF, which is the normal proper process. But in version 6, you could do it outside RSMF. That is kind of a hack that I came up with. Varying level of success there. I know some people liked it. Well, now we have an option to do inside and outside. So attachments will be exported twice. And this will simulate process data. So when we export this out and we get our DAT file, we can just use that to load data into Relativity without processing. That is, if you did the import with text extraction and everything else. So we'll have both attachments inside and outside. The reason why you need them both is Relativity Viewer will use the outside attachment, and the imaging module in Relativity will use the inside attachment. It's inconsistency in Relativity that I've seen, kind of annoying, but that's the reason for both. And this will also simulate what the results of processing are, because you get attachments stored twice. So I'm not, wasting more space by doing this. This is what the results of processing is going to be anyway. And then we can also thumbnail options. We can choose to say to use thumbnails or something like that. And then we got a few PDF options. Now these are pretty much same as before, like in version 6, add the image if possible, attach native to PDF and all that stuff. The interesting stuff here at the bottom, where now we have lots more control over folder structure. So we have 4 levels of subfolders, and we can pick whatever folder we want to store it. So right here we have export type, which is going to be this PDF or RSMF. And then we're going to do folders by 1,000 files. Now this is approximate. This isn't going to be like exactly 1 through 1,000. It's just going to use internal ID, and it's basically shouldn't go over 1,000. No one really cares if it's exactly 1,000. I know there are people like so obsessed with this. It doesn't matter. We just don't want to wind up with like 10,000 files in the folder. As long as we have that, we're fine. And so this is what the option allows you to do. And then you can do name files by, which is control number, or you can do your conversation identifier or a channel name or something like that. Maybe not channel name, but you can experiment with that. So that is really cool. You have full control. Oh, you can throw in like a custodian in there, so you can have export foldered by custodian if you want to do that. Mixed feelings about custodian for chats. That's kind of a bad thing to have in my opinion, but you could do that. And then on the bottom we have the text priority, right? So if we're doing a DAT file with extracted text and we don't want to use processing, we can use extracted text and that'll be exported to a DAT file. So that's basically it. Lots of cool options that I've been working on. I took feedback from a lot of people. I know people emailed me about 6, I want this, I want that, I want that. And I kind of consolidated everything to, well, basically what you see on the screen. And I'm hoping that everyone is going to be happy with these options. All right, that's my update for Message Crawler version 7 beta. If you want to give it a try, send me an email. I'll send you a private link. Thank you for checking out this update. I will see you on another.